Welcome back to another episode of the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast. I'm Dale Corpus, a senior transition specialist and real estate expert based in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I'm also part of the sandwich generation, just like many of you. I created this podcast to make senior living information more accessible, bring visibility to the amazing professionals working in the space, and help families feel more confident during a loved one's transition. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce Jocelynn Jasper, a senior placement agent and founder of Lynn's Senior Placement Agency based in the East Bay. She's known not only for helping families find the right senior living options, but also her creative outreach work, including hosting sip and paint events inside senior communities and local venues to bring awareness, connection, and joy. We'll explore Jocelyn's path to this work, her philosophy on senior care, and how she incorporates fun into transitions that are often heavy, and what families should know when evaluating placement services. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast, where we help families navigate senior living, real estate, and everything in between. Hosted by Senior Transition Specialist Dale Corpus, this show brings you expert insights, real solutions, and stress-free strategies to make senior transitions simple. Ready to dive in? Let's go.
And we're back, everybody. Jocelynn, my friend, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am amazing. Thank you so much for asking, Dale. How are you?
I'm good. It's a nice, warm Saturday, and I got a good swim in. You know, I am a swimmer, right? So getting that vitamin D always puts me in a good, positive mindset. So I'm ready to ask you some questions if you're ready.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Can you start by telling us a little bit about your background and what led you into the senior placement space?
Sure. So I've actually had a senior placement agency before. Unfortunately, I had to close it down when the pandemic hit. It was something that I chose to do because a lot of families were taking their loved ones out of the assisted living facilities. And to me, I felt like I would be doing a disservice at that time. So I withdrew. As of earlier this year, I was able to reopen it, and we've been rocking and rolling. But the most important part is helping seniors to find the right home. And in my background, I've had a lot of personal experience with my own parents. I helped to take care of them up until the time they passed away. And I also helped to place my grandmother when she passed away. Unfortunately, she had Alzheimer's dementia. So I do have an extensive background in admissions, working with healthcare or health career colleges. And so oftentimes I would help the nursing department find clinical rotations for the vocational nursing students because my niche is really building relationships. So just having all of those close relationships with the different assisted living facilities. And then again, before my grandmother passed away, she owned many boarding care homes. I literally grew up in this industry. It's like second nature to me. So yeah, that's pretty much my background, between the medical career colleges and growing up in the boarding care homes, taking care of residents since I was a child, and, the admissions. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not just a placement agent. I love how creative you are. For example, you are also known for your creative work, like hosting sip and paint events. In fact, for the listeners and viewers, I took my wife to one of her paint events, and she's amazing. I didn't even know that I could paint, but Jocelynn showed us step by step, and then even I had a masterpiece. So how did that idea come about of you getting into sip and paints?
I actually started doing sip and paints in the assisted living facilities. That's where I started off. And it was so therapeutic for seniors. But it's also a good time for us to just kind of sit down and talk. And you'd be surprised, when you're doing a therapeutic activity, conversation just rolls out. And it's so simple. There's no pressure. But yes, I did start off in those facilities doing sip and paints. These days, I'm now doing it for a lot of different businesses to help bring marketing and bring traffic to the smaller owned businesses. But I still go around to the different assisted living facilities, and I just like to paint with seniors. Again, building relationships and building that trust with them. It's a blast.
Yeah. Now, what's the response been like from seniors and communities when you bring these life enriching events to them?
So honestly, Dale, they already have a lot of the supplies because most of them do sip and paints on their own,
Got it.
because their activities director is very involved, which I love. But one thing that I noticed with my personality is that I'm able to bring a little bit more umph. So we're trying to do karaoke. We're having conversations, we're laughing, and I promise you, in every group, there's always that group of troublemakers. Like these seniors, don't underestimate them, okay? Like, they're so funny, and I love hearing their stories, and there's always that group of troublemakers, but that's just what makes it even more fun? And they love my personality, and I just love to sit and just listen to them and laugh with them. Because at the end of the day, this industry is already morbid. Like, how are we gonna
Mhm.
have fun, right?
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
I like to do. I like to incorporate just the excitement, the fun, the conversation to these seniors.
Speaking of conversations and
Yeah.
just building trust with this creative approach, how does it build that trust and open the door to care conversations?
Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But again, the more time you spend with somebody, the more trust you build. A lot of times, yes, I do have an extensive sales background. However, this is not about sales. It's about spending time. And I really feel like these days we rush and we do everything. I think that time, especially quality time, is the highest currency, especially when it comes down to our loved ones and seniors. So just by spending that time, if they don't want to talk about it, well, the first time we're painting or whatnot, it's fine. I'm just here to keep coming back. I'm just here to listen. I'm here to help you to relax, kind of take your mind off of the stress of the world. And
Yeah.
oftentimes the conversation comes out, but I'm not here to push it. I just want to have fun. I just want you to trust me, paint with me. I love to paint. I'm here regardless.
Yeah. Now, I've had other placement agents as guests in the past, but
Yeah.
some people may be watching or listening to this episode for the very first time and not understand what
Mm.
placement agent does. So, can you just walk us briefly about what a placement agent does and how your services work for families?
Of course. So first, I want to just let you guys know that this is a complimentary service to the family. So that means it's free for you and your family for me to help you. The first thing we like to do is just sit down with you and all of the decision makers, and we just do a consultation where we learn more about your loved one that you'd like to place into a home. Okay. So asking the right questions, just kind of getting a feel for who they are and what their likes and dislikes are. And of course, we're speaking about their ailments, what your needs are, what the budget is, demographic wise, location wise, what their preferences are. So, again, this is a consultation, complimentary. After we gather all of the information, we take the family members and we start touring facilities because we want to make sure that the family feels comfortable with the facility that their loved one is going to be in. From there, they make a decision and then we help with the transition of their loved one into the community. So definitely, a very meticulous process, but I
Mhm.
really think it's important to get to know the senior, prior to just looking for facilities that are within the budget because we want to make sure that we find the right community for them.
Got it. Now, tell me now how broad of a geographic area you cover for senior living placements.
Sure. So, I'll be honest, we're able to even place out of state. With
Oh,
the database that we have, we are able to place out of state. Of course, we specialize in the Bay Area. We're specifically located in the East Bay area, but wherever you need us, we can definitely be there and help you. If it's out of state, obviously we're going to be helping remotely. But
yeah.
I mean, I was just dealing with somebody who loved one lives in San Francisco, but she wants to move down to Atlanta to be next to her sister. So that's what we're
Okay.
working on right now.
Perfect.
Yeah.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions families have about working with a placement agent?
That it costs money, right?
Right.
Like I mentioned before, it is a complimentary service to the family. Also, I think one of the misconceptions is that why do I need a middleman when I can just do it on my own, right? That can be really hard because you're in an emotional state. And sometimes you're not as focused, you don't know the right questions to ask, and you're not properly vetting these communities. Why not come to an expert who has relationships with these communities, who knows how to properly vet them, and then connect the both so that I can help to match you and your families? So I think that a lot of people just are not as educated when it comes down to this is a complimentary service. I can do
Hmm.
it on my own. It's very stressful. I'm here to help relieve some of that stress and help to find the right home for your loved one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you guide families who are overwhelmed and unsure where to start?
Sure. So again, it always starts with that consultation,
Okay.
just sitting down and just really listening.
Okay.
I think just to kind of go back to your previous question, a lot of people think that we're salespeople. We're not, we're advocates. We are
Mhm.
advocates. And I always let them know, like, hey, I'm not here to sell you on the community. I'm here to get to know your loved one and advocate for them. So by looking at the medical history and what the physician recommendations are, we kind of just state the facts and
Yeah.
then help to guide them in the right direction and show them what their options are and just go from there.
Yeah. You sound so passionate about it.
I
I'm curious.
am
Yeah. What's the most rewarding part of placement work for you?
being able to sleep at night. Seriously, and nothing against anybody else,
Huh.
but I've ran into healthcare professionals that don't care about people, but they got into the
Mm.
industry for the money. If you're
Yeah.
getting into placement for the money, this is not the right place for you. You legitimately have to like and love seniors,
Yeah.
right? And so
Right.
for me, being able to sleep at night, knowing that I was able to help them find the right option is like top tier to me. Even
Yeah.
if I'm not able to place them, if I'm able to point them in the right direction to one of my resources, just being able to help them at the end of the day is it's the best feeling in the world. It really is.
Okay. Now, you just mentioned earlier on that you have a pretty broad territory, but
Yeah.
I know you're based in the East Bay,
Correct.
and probably you know the East Bay the best. But
Mhm.
can you speak to any unique aspects of senior living in this region that families should be aware of?
Sure. So just to be honest, it's pretty much it's very similar anywhere you go, but the East Bay is a little less expensive. All right.
Okay.
And I have to be honest, as we know, just with housing, the closer you get to the Bay Area, the more expensive things are going to be. It's very similar when it comes to placement and putting your loved one in the right community. There's a lot of misconceptions. Like people think that Antioch is ghetto. There have been people that say, I don't want to look out in that area because, I've heard rumors or it's ghetto, but give us a chance. Let me help introduce you to some facilities out in the area. You will be delightfully surprised. So it's definitely a huge difference from homes that are closer to the Bay Area. But again, I'm here to show you options.
Okay. Perfect. What trends are you seeing locally when it comes to demand, pricing, or care levels?
So some of the trends is that obviously the demand is surging. It's
Okay.
surging for these homes for our loved ones and for seniors. Also, just to address the elephant in the room, inflation. Things are
Okay.
getting more expensive. So
Yeah.
if you guys have a loved one at home and you're like, oh, I'm just going to wait on it, the longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to get, right? And that's a trend everywhere. It's best to start looking into your options now and being proactive because by the time something happens to your loved one again, there's going to be a price difference in, when you probably should have started looking. Even if one starts looking 6 months to a year into these homes before something actually happens, it's really a better time. So, as far as the demand goes, and then it's getting more expensive, now is the time to look into options.
Okay.
Mhm.
And senior living, as you know, this is your deal. There's so many types of communities out there, CCRCs, memory care, just the larger assisted living communities, even
Mhm.
the luxury ones,
Yeah.
Ford cares. Now, are there certain types of communities that are especially in demand right now or underrepresented right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So, to speak to your point, it really just depends on the needs of the resident, right? Or
Okay.
our loved one or the senior. And so, luxury, of course, is definitely in demand because it's luxury. I want to go there.
Yeah.
But again, it really just depends. I think some facilities that are underrated are the boarding care homes. I
Okay.
really do. And I love the larger facilities, assisted, independent, memory care. But some people, depending on their personality and what their needs are, they need something a little bit smaller. They need something more intimate. And there is such a wide variety of boarding care homes that provide that one-on-one attention that don't have as many residents. And so you get a lot more, care and attention from the caregivers. I mean, I know of one in Antioch right now that's amazing. So I do think that people sleep on it a lot. But again,
Yeah.
I'm here during the consultation to show you what your options are. And when we do tours, people are delightfully surprised in what is available and how these homes look. They're not like they used to be back in the day. And trust me, I know I grew up in these homes. They're very much different. And the activities are amazing, depending on who the administrator is. But I am connected with a lot of different boarding care homes and also huge communities with memory care, assisted and independent living. But just to kind of circle back on your previous question also, when you mentioned, what else are the trends in this industry?
Yeah.
Memory care. That's one that I forgot, Dale. When I tell you it is in demand, many places are nearly full with their memory care. So those numbers are rising
Okay.
rapidly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of boarding cares, I always
Mhm.
felt like they were like the ugly stepchild because they don't get a lot of marketing dollars. Like a lot of the bigger assisted living communities, like
Yeah.
Hozier, Brookdale, Oakmonts, they have marketing dollars to really push those communities out. I always feel like those boarding cares, somebody knows about it just because of word of mouth or maybe through replacement agents like yourself,
Yeah.
but they're not really getting a lot of the buzz because people just don't know they exist. And I mean, is that fair to say?
Absolutely. And that's why me as the expertise, and having relationships with a lot of boarding care homes, I'm here to show them those options. So when I'm doing my consultation and I'm listening to them, they're telling me what the needs are. And if it fits and it checks those boxes for certain boarding care homes, I'm going to show you those homes because we need to be open-minded about this. It's up to you at the end of the day, whatever you choose for your loved one. But you're right. Like the marketing is not always there. And if it's not mentioned through us, a lot of times it's not mentioned at all. So I totally agree with you.
Okay, now what red flags should families watch out for when touring senior communities?
Sure. So really strong odors, right?
Okay.
For example, like urine. Now, don't get me wrong, there are going to be accidents, right? But really strong lingering odors, even cleaning supplies. We want it to smell clean, but we don't want it to be excessively strong, right? And then when we're touring these facilities, also, do the residents look happy? Are there activities going on? How does the staff look? Is it clean?
Yeah.
So those are some of the indicators and red flags to look for when we're touring the facilities. I always look for the residents. What are the residents doing? Do they look happy? Are they taken care of? Things like that. And of course, the cleanliness.
Yeah. Yeah.
hmm
And how do you support adult children who may not be on the same page about their loved one's care?
That's That is so good. That's such a good question, Dale. I like to get everybody in the same room. All decision makers, you, the dog, your brother. If somebody lives out of state, get them on Zoom because
Yeah.
we're not playing telephone. I'm not going to talk to you and then you relay the information. A lot of information, doesn't get relayed correctly, things like that. So I like to have everybody in the room to make sure we're all on the same page. And there's always going to be that one or two siblings that are not on the same page. So what I do is I don't judge and I listen with a lot of empathy and I have to take it back to the facts.
Got
Are
it.
you able to take care of your loved one? What is your background? What is the doctor recommending for the skilled nursing facility that they're currently in, right? Because I
Right.
always like to use the background of a professional. I'm not a professional in the medical field, although I grew up around it. My grandmother was an RN, you know, I'm not a professional. So let's take it back to the facts on what the needs are. And are we able to provide those needs here at home? Are you able to stay home and provide these care needs? If not, then let's go ahead and look into the options. Again, at the end of the day, it's up to you guys collectively as a family to make a decision. I'm just here to advocate for your loved ones. So I always say, let's keep in mind your loved one's best interest. Let's try to set aside our personal feelings. And that's why it's very important to use a placement agency as myself because we're an unbiased agency. We don't have the feelings invested, although we do empathize with the family. We
Yeah.
can step back and say, okay, Let's look at all of the facts and let me help you to connect the dots. So oftentimes I feel like that's the best way to deal with, a decision maker who may not be on the same page, is just to, hey, what is the skilled nursing facility recommending? What does the physician say? And let's see how we can connect that bridge. Are you able to take care of this? Who in the family can do it? Or you guys have been doing this for a long time. It's not working.
Yeah.
Let's just look into options and then you guys powwow and decide from there. But I'm here to advocate, not to sell you on a facility.
Good. Yeah. It sounds
Yeah,
like you're really good at just bringing everybody on the same page. Yeah. Um,
absolutely.
what role does culture, religion,
Mhm.
or personal values play in your placement recommendations?
Sure. Man, you got some good questions, Dale.
I thought this through, Jocelyn.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, of course. And I love them because they're making me think.
Yeah.
So those aspects definitely play a role in placement.
Okay.
I had a woman whose mother is Polish, and I was
Okay.
able to find a Polish owned boarding care home and they cooked Polish food. So that's a cultural aspect that she just loved, right? And it's the same with religion. Some people have certain preferences. Now, just kind of bringing it back to culture, I love the fact that you brought that up because I feel like a lot of minorities are not familiar with this space, right? And so,
Right.
as a minority myself, we were taught that we take care of our own. Like, we don't
Yeah.
send our parents and our grandparents to nursing homes. Like, no, we take care of our own. But guess what? With inflation and with us having to work sometimes two jobs, right?
Right.
Who realistically has the time and the money and the resources to give that 24-hour care? And so I would love to kind of break that stigma of we take care of our own and just show what the options are and what's available to us as far as placing them in a assisted living facility or a community where you can still go visit, but it's not interrupting your life, right? And just letting you know that, hey, you don't have to be stressed out, but these are what your options are. So yes, it definitely plays a major role, especially here in the Bay Area, because we're like a huge melting pot. So I'm here to educate those who just kind of grew up with different standards, which I
Yeah.
did. I took care of my mom until she passed away. I helped take care of my grandmother as well. But at the time, I was in a position to where I didn't have to work because taking care of them, I didn't need to work, and I could afford not to. But these days are a little bit different. And that's where placement agents come in, like myself.
Yeah. Can you share a story where placement made a huge difference in someone's life?
Yeah, of course. My own grandmother. So she
Okay.
passed away in, 2020, February 22nd of 2022.
Okay.
And she was in a boarding care home that I was actually familiar with because when I originally had my placement agency, I was contracted with this boarding care home and I trusted them. And my grandmother went in there and we were able to visit. Unfortunately, she didn't last even barely even a month because it was pretty much a hospice case. And so prior to placing her in that home, us collectively as a family, we tried taking shifts to take care of
Mhm.
her. I had the evenings and the weekends because, I worked full time and then I have three children. And so we all used to rotate. And so it got to the point where it just wasn't consistent. And really, we were doing her a disservice at the end of the day. And so we made the decision to put her in a boarding care home in Antioch where she passed away, where we were all around to be with her when it happened. So, I mean, honestly, that's really my best testimonial is being honored enough to be a part of that process and
Yeah.
help to put her in a home that I am familiar with and being able to be there with her.
Excellent.
Yeah, thank
Now, how have you grown your placement agency over time,
Mhm.
and what's your vision for it in the future?
So again, so we just reopened earlier this year in the beginning of February. And so far we have 5 agents, and that's including myself.
Okay.
So that's so beneficial to the families because we're able to get back to you sooner. And then, of course, if I'm not available, which usually I am, we have other agents that can definitely take you on tours, respond to your emails, phone call, text immediately. My vision for the future is just to continue to be good people helping good people. And all of the agents that work with Lynn Senior Placement Agency, they all feel the same way. So we properly vetted them. They definitely have the background, they are trained, and they are ready to go. But yeah, that's pretty much our vision, is just to continue to expand, continue to get more placements out of state, but really just take care of home and show people what their options are.
Good. Now, what advice would you give to other professionals entering the senior care
Mhm.
or place field?
You have to like old people.
Right.
And you know what? It's something about old people being honest and telling the truth. It's, to me, it's like the best thing ever. So earlier this week, our company had a booth at one of the senior resource fairs in San Leandro. And
Yeah.
I was talking to this senior, I'm like, hey, how's your day going? And she gave me the middle finger and was like, shut up, don't talk to me. And I was like, and that just made my day. Because for me, it's the unfilteredness for me. It's the
Yeah.
honesty. And again, we have to bring fun, we have to bring humor to this space. So my recommendation to anybody getting into this industry, I would love to meet you, right? I would love to host an event with you. But to be honest, you have to like old people. This is not something you get in just for the money. You have to have some kind of passion for it and not be offended or take things
Yeah.
personal, because they really are the best.
Seniors, you got to love them. I mean, they're so honest. They're at the point in their lives where it's okay to be unfiltered,
Mm,
so they're just kind of saying what comes to mind. You got to know that. Just don't take it so personally, right?
Thank you. Thank you. And it makes it even more fun.
Sounds like you like to collaborate. Sounds like you want to meet all those new senior living professionals that are coming into the space. So I guess I know the answer to this, but I still want to ask this.
Yeah.
So do you collaborate with other senior focused professionals, realtors, mood managers, care managers?
Oh, absolutely. I try to connect with everybody because we can all help each other in any way possible. I met this amazing young woman at another placement agency when I went to the San Ramon Chamber of Commerce, and she called me and said, hey, do you know of any homes in this area? Can you help me out? I said, absolutely. I would love to help you out, because why not? I'm a girl's girl. But I also like to support small businesses and large businesses. Thus the reason why I paint.
Yeah.
I don't charge people to come and support your business. It's just all going to come full circle back to us. So absolutely, I want to meet you guys. I want to collaborate. If you guys are in different areas, if you're in the same areas, let's pick each other's brain. We're not competition here. We're just here to help uplift each other and add the fun element to it, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I collaborate with real estate agents. I collaborate with social workers. Have been trying to collaborate with more placement agencies. I feel like, again, we have to keep in mind, whose interest are we working towards? I mean, obviously, it's not just our own best interest. If we are really here and we really care for seniors, I don't mind reaching out. Humiliation is a part of growth. And I think we're all still in the learning phase, but we also need to roll with the punches for modern times, right? We
Yeah.
can get a lot more done together, collaborating, doing events, coming together than we can separately. I feel like we're all going to be successful separately anyways, but at the end of the day, I do not mind collaborating. I do not mind hosting events with people, but I definitely have a niche in doing, having close relationships with people. And that's what my number one goal is, to build close relationships so that my placement agents can do what they need to do. I'm like the relationships manager.
Now, what makes a great referral partner in this space?
A great referral partner is going to be somebody who is trustworthy, right? And above all, has good moral ethics, right? Like me personally, I don't want anybody shady. I'm not a
Yeah.
shady person, right?
Yeah.
Um, so somebody who has a great reputation, and again, just good moral standards, and again, somebody who shares the same vision as myself. It doesn't have to be exactly the same, but at the end of the day, helping seniors is always going to be number one, whether I get paid for it or not. Like I said, some seniors are not ready to be placed. Some just need a caregiver to come in until that time comes. But by me following up with them, inviting them to my paint parties, just really building that trust and strengthening that relationship with them and their loved ones, it's definitely going to work out at the end of the day. And if it doesn't work out with me, it's okay. I'm going to help point them in the right direction, because remember, at the end of the day, what's most important is that they're taken care of. And so for me, building good relationships and especially with referral partners, reciprocation is definitely key because I'm one of those people who are going to visit you. I'm going to check up on you. I'm going to be inviting you to events, but I'm also going to support you however I can. And so I'm going to be sending you, invitations like, hey, come to my event. Hey, can you speak here? Hey, can you come and set up a booth? So that reciprocity is definitely important. But I think these days we really need to vet people. We need to look on
Okay.
their social media. We need to be creeps.
Yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sure that we are not just jumping in bed with anybody. So definitely somebody who's trustworthy. That was a great question, Dale. Thank you.
Yeah. I love that. Now, what's coming through strongly on this conversation with you is that you are a very community oriented person. And so, how do you stay connected and visible in the senior living world?
Sure. So again, I use my paint events as an avenue to stay connected with the administrators, the executive directors, but I also try my best to attend as many of their events as possible. And I set aside Tuesdays to block out like, hey, in this county, I'm going to visit all my social worker connections, all of my local EDs, and sometimes I bring them lunch. Sometimes I just give them thank you cards, bottles of wine. This is just to let them know that I appreciate them. It's for nothing. It's not, hey, what do you have for me? It's just saying, hey, you know what? I appreciate our relationship. In fact, I have a paint event coming up. Do you want to come down, you and your spouse? Or you know what? If you want me to come through, I can paint with your residents, or we can do a team building with you and the different departments to help bridge that, especially
Mhm.
if they've gone under new management or they're rebuilding. So whatever activities I can do, because remember, right now, I am very much out in the field. I love being out in the field. But like I mentioned earlier, my vision is for all of my placement agents to be out in the field and for me to be the relationship manager so that I can just continue to build relationships so that I can help the rest of my team to thrive. But really, Tuesdays are my dedicated days to visit everybody and make sure that I'm showing up for them because remember, time is the highest currency.
No, yeah, it is 100%. Now, what do you wish more people knew about this senior living, senior care industry?
That it ain't free. And that's the honest to God truth. The placement, it's a complimentary service, right? But once they get into these communities, majority of these communities are not free. And that's why, as a people, we need to be educated on what our options are. Long-term care insurance, do they have any type of veteran benefits? Because a lot of times people think that, oh, when they get old, my parents get old or my grandparents, their Medicare or their Medi-Cal is going to cover it. That is not the case. That's not the case. We need to be more proactive than reactive because unfortunately, people don't start to know about this industry and don't start to do the research until it's too late and something happens.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why we have these podcasts. That's why we're trying to educate people. Like, I wish that they knew that it's going to cost. Once they get into that community, there's a 90% chance that it's going to cost. So it's best to start doing research now.
That's excellent advice. Now, how do you measure success beyond the placement itself?
Mm-hmm. When the resident is happy,
Okay.
we check back in and just say, hey, how's your mom doing? Sometimes we go visit just to check on them. And when the family is at peace, they want to know that their loved one is taken care of and that everything is going smoothly. So not only will we eventually visit occasionally, but just kind of contact the family and see how they're doing. Just do a check-in and let them know that if you need anything, definitely call us or if you have any questions. So to me, that's the best measure that we can take is the happiness and the peace of mind of the family.
Okay. If a family's hesitant to reach out,
Mm-hmm.
what's one thing you'd want them to hear today?
It's a complimentary service. And again, I'm not a salesperson, I'm an advocate. So I'm going to help to show you your options and point you in the right direction, regardless of if it benefits my placement agency or not. Yeah, and you have to keep in mind what's important, the health of your loved one and the well-being of your loved one or your ego for not wanting to reach out for whatever reason. I mean, I'm down to earth. You can call me at any time. I'll answer the phone. But again, we want to make sure that we're able to start this process sooner than later. You don't want to
Mhm.
wait until the last minute and then you're surprised financially, things like that. Sometimes you need to reach out sooner so that you can know what to prepare for.
Mhm.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you if they're interested in learning more or working with you?
Absolutely. So you guys can call me directly. My number is area code 925-234-8129. Again, that's 925-234-8129. Or you can visit our website, which is lspacare.com. It's short for Lynn's Senior Placement Agency. I'm Lynn. It's short for Jocelynn. And again, that website is lspacare.com.
Okay. Um, I know a lot of placement agents, and Jocelyn, you have this amazing energy to you.
Yeah.
Uh, Amazing. I haven't asked you this before, but I want to know, what's your superpower? What makes you different?
Hmm. You have such good questions, Dale.
Yeah.
I've never thought of that. Um, I think it's my ability to connect with people,
Uh-huh.
honestly. And it's people from all different kinds of backgrounds. I can always find a common denominator, and I
Hmm.
don't mind awkward moments. So
Okay.
people often get along with people with certain personality types. I'm
Yeah.
very universal. I can get along with anybody, even if you give me the middle finger and tell me to shut up. And so for
Yeah.
me, I never take things personally because life is too short. Not
Yeah.
to be morbid with this, but majority of my family has died. My immediate family, these are the people closest to me.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be able to make a difference, but I need to have fun while doing it. And I definitely have a sense of humor, but I am down to hustle. I am down to work for you. So I just really feel like what makes me different is just my ability to connect with people and my persistency. I'm not scared of rejection. It's just, yeah, I love people. I'm literally a people person and I'm willing to talk to them all day long.
Okay. Now, what's something bringing you joy lately, either professionally or personally?
Karaoke. And Dale, I know you sing. I
Yeah.
heard about you. I know you
Yeah.
sing. I know you're great. I want you to join me. I'm going to start incorporating it more at the assisted living facilities, and I want you to come in. I need you and I to do some duets together
Yeah.
and at other sip and paint events. Whenever I can bring my karaoke machine, I'm bringing it. But karaoke for sure. Are you down with me?
I'm 100% down. I always have a mic in my hand.
That's what I'm talking about. And I'll admit I'm not as good as you, but I'm not afraid either. I'm
Yeah.
not afraid.
Awesome. It's just like you're very vibrant. You're all about bringing in fun.
Yes.
And I love that creativity. And I love that too, because I relate to it because I like fun and I like to bring in fun things to get closer to people as well. Yes, I'm a business person, but you could also, um, you could balance out business and being fun and people see other sides of you because we're all human and just I get closer to people too, just because of that human element, that human side. And one of the things I think the reason why you and I connect is that we both are good at just really connecting with people and just finding
Mhm.
that common denominator
Yeah.
somehow. And I think it's just something that's innate to me. I don't have to think about it. It's just natural. And now looking back, I think that it's a skill.
Yes.
I think if you have it or you don't, or you could, you could learn to grow it. But I think that in itself, it's just that ability to connect with people has served me, and it sounds like it served you throughout my career.
Absolutely. And you know what? You're right. You do have that innate ability. You don't have to think about it. It naturally flows. And I think that's why people naturally are attracted to your podcast. They feel comfortable with you. And have you noticed that sometimes people just feel like they can talk about anything with you, especially
Right.
strangers? And that's how seniors are as well. I feel like for us, when we're placing our parents or our grandparents, our loved ones, we project our fear onto them,
Yeah.
but what we don't know is that they're not scared. They're not scared of sometimes they're a little bit upset that they have to go into these homes, I must admit, but they're not scared of the hard conversations. It's our generation, it's a sandwich generation that's scared. And so not projecting our fear onto them and going in with them and being able to laugh and relate and even, joke with them, I think it's absolutely needed because everybody feels like it's such a touchy subject when it's really not to them at least. It's more so to the sandwich generation. So once we break through that barrier and like you said, we find that common denominator, it's all fun. This is a
Yeah.
this is a fun industry. It really is.
Okay. And lastly, this is two-part. What's the favorite part about what you do? And also any final closing remarks?
Honestly, my favorite part about what I do is just the end result, just knowing that a family is at peace, just knowing that a family is happy and knowing that the senior is getting the best possible care at the end of the day. Because again, it's always what is best for them, what is best for the senior. Sometimes it may not look like it's the best option for the family because, we're stingy, we're selfish. Like, I want my dad here with me, but you know what? That's not what's best, right? So at the end of the day, seeing them situated, seeing them being taken care of, seeing them have the right diet, the right amount of exercise, because Dale, I'll tell you, when I was taking care of my grandmother, she was having me sneak her all kind of stuff, knowing she was a diabetic. And she knew better because she was an RN.
Oh, yeah.
But when she ended up going into the boarding care home, they were like, no, that ain't gonna happen. And I was hurt. I'm like, that's my grandmother. But they know what's best for them because again, it's separating her and it's giving her that unbiased care. So it's really what's best for her at the end of the day, And again, the most important thing that I think that everybody should know is I encourage everybody to have early planning. Again, we want to be proactive and not reactive. And that's why on July 11th, which is a Friday evening, from 5 to 7 p.m., I'm going to be hosting a workshop. It's completely free. I'm going to buy food for everybody. It's located in San Ramon, and we have guest speakers talking about long-term care insurance, being proactive with funeral planning. And then I have another placement agency, Best Life Placement Agency. She's going to be coming in and speaking as well, and I'm going to be hosting. So this is all a part of the planning process. I would definitely recommend you guys coming. Again, it's on Friday, July 11th in San Ramon. Reach out to me for more information. It's a free event. I'm going to be providing food, but it's a great time to start information gathering.
Excellent. Jocelynn, thanks for being you.
Hey.
And yeah. And also, thank you so much for being here and obviously the beautiful energy you bring to your work. Your creativity, compassion are helping change how families experience senior transitions. And I know our listeners learned a lot today. And for those of you watching or listening, if your loved one is considering senior living and you need to figure out what to do with their home, let's talk. Schedule a free consultation with me by clicking on the Calendly link located in the video description box for this episode on YouTube. You can learn more about my services at www.simplifyseniortransitions.com. Have a quick question, DM me on Instagram at SoldByDale. And if you found this interview helpful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need this information. Thanks for tuning in. One last thank you to Jocelynn for being on the episode today.
Yay.
Hey, and I'll see you all on the next episode of the Simplify Senior Transitions podcast.